Welcome to another episode of Discourse KE. My name is Emmanuel Mamadi. We are coming you live from Ukombozi Library. Today we are going to discuss about the Kenya security and also the military strategy in Kenya. My guests today, I have two guests today. On my left is Kiongozi Mwangi, also known as Isaac Mwangi, who is a criminologist and also a sociologist, and also a security strategist. On my right today is Samuel Budoi, who works for the Global Peace Foundation as the Youth and Peacebuilding Programs Manager, right? Yeah, welcome. So what's the status of Kenya when it comes to security? What's the status of Kenya when it comes to security? Budoi,
thank you so much, Mamadi. I'll just go straight to your question and just try to answer as it is. The state of Kenya right now in regards to security, I think it's still, otherwise it's more of overrated, but I think it's still down. We have not get to that level of that we are completely secured over terrorism and all that. But we are not just necessarily talking about terrorism. We're also talking issues of in-house security or intra security, like maybe for instance the borders of Mandera and Somali, or we are talking of Turkana, Rendile and Samburu. All those conflicts are issues that we need to tackle, based on security.
You've mentioned about Kenya's security being overrated. What do you mean by that?
Being overrated means people only think of Al-Shabaab, as that's the only notion that goes around people's mind. But we have a lot of things going through, smuggling, kidnapping, the issues of drug trafficking. All those are issues of insecurity. So if we don't address that one, then we never see security coming down in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming to you, Mwangi. Do you agree with this opinion? Kenya's state of security is overrated, and these intricate issues that are happening, why are they happening?
Thanks, Mamadi, for this opportunity. Security in Kenya is not where it's supposed to be. In terms of security is not about hardware, having heavy military gadgets and what's that. It's all about the integrity of the personnel. The moment your personnel is compromised, the security is down. Taking into consideration that about the economy aspect, most of the youth are just vulnerable to recruitment, to get into the terror groups and others. For example, we have a lot of street children more than ever before, and they are vulnerable to being radicalized, and they have nothing to lose at the end of the day. So they can pin a bomb in any building because they have no fingerprint, no one can trace them, and that places us in a dangerous point. So in terms of security, we are not yet there.
And what makes these children so susceptible to being radicalized and also being turned into an Al-Shabaab, now boiling it down to Al-Shabaab and terror attack? So I think the latest terror attack is on January 5th from Mamadi, which was in Lamu. So what makes Kenya so susceptible to this?
Thanks, Mamadi. First I can say the major enemy is not the Al-Shabaab in Ras Kokani or Afamado or in Ismail, no. The major security threat is the enemy within. The last terror attack was in Busitto, and you find the indigenous, the locals are the one pinning down or killing people. So we need to ask ourselves, how fast did we get the locals into the Al-Shabaab? First we can say the youth have been neglected, the opportunities have been taken away. When we take money that belongs to the youth, then they are vulnerable. The Al-Shabaab have a lot of money, they get funded from the Al-Qaeda and all the networks, so they have a lot of money to give to these desperate boys. That's how we are going to get hit now and then.
Okay, I'll get back to you. Now coming back to you, Budoi, you see that AMISOM, in December they'll be celebrating 10 years in being in Somalia. And what are some of the successes and challenges AMISOM has faced? Because you see, in 10 years now, it will be 10 years down the line since they joined Somalia in the mission, the peacekeeping mission. And now they are thinking about pulling out. There's a high likelihood that they'll be pulling out of Somalia. Will this be a good move?
I think personally, it's not a good move per se, but I think the most movie success and the major thing is when they were successfully pulled out Al-Shabaabs from the center, which was Mogadishu.
Yeah.
So they were able to push them further to Kismayo and Baghdad.
Yeah.
So and then another success was when they successfully pulled out the troop, not necessarily pulled out the troop from Ethiopia. From Mogadishu. So this was another thing, but also it came with also its own challenges. The AU relation with Ethiopia was not that that good, because most of these things, they come with interest, interest from maybe the West and them trying to get deep into Africa.
So are you saying that there's a conflict between the EU and Ethiopia, because for Ethiopia to intervene on Mogadishu and also get to Somalia, they have been given permission actually to get into Somalia, to go and fight. They were the first troops to get into Somalia.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's the friction between EU and Ethiopia?
The friction will be, they had some sort of extension, but again, with the interest of also AU and also US and all that coming into form now, the AMISOM, which is the African Union mission in Somalia. Also, we see interest of also other countries in Africa sending out also their troops in. So you see AMISOM and Ethiopia, so they saw the need of coming up with maybe a joint troop that, so that Ethiopia saw a sense of where they can pull back and allow maybe AMISOM now to take over. But again, I think them allowing AMISOM to take over, it's not something, it's not a light, because also they had also their own interests as to why they were into Mogadishu and Somalia.
So you say it's not a prudent move for them to pull up.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you on that. To Mwangi, now we see that AMISOM getting into Somalia, and will you rate it as a success if it happens that they pull out there in December? Would you rate it as a success mission?
We can say initially the move was good to clear out the threat in Somalia from their own headquarters, but along the way we missed the target, because I remember in El Ade we lost about 200 soldiers. We are fighting them, but they are killing us in their own soil. So we need to ask ourselves, where did we go wrong? We have Tanzania, our neighbor, they have not been hit by Al-Shabaab. Ethiopia itself borders Somalia. It has not been hit by Al-Shabaab. Why? Why are we getting hit? We are being hit because we are compromised by all means. First, for you to get to Ethiopia, you have to report to the nearest military camp there. For you to get to Tanzania, you have to be scrutinized. But in Kenya is a free land. Anyone can penetrate from any corner. So I don't see the need for us having the military there while we have porous borders, while we have compromised ATPU police. So it is...
So you're saying it's a good move for us to pull out?
Yeah, it is a good move. Actually, Kenya will contribute a lower percentage of the military in the AMISOM unit. So I don't see why. Okay, we can say they are being paid well by US dollar, but actually...
But what about the security of Kenyans? Because pulling out of there may compromise the security of Kenyans.
The most important thing we need to ask ourselves, even if we pull out from Somalia, is it going to, make the Al-Shabaab not to strike, to stop striking, Kenya, like those terror attacks we have been experiencing before? So that's the most important question you need to be asking right now. And if so, what is what's the way forward? What can we do? Rather than us deploying AMISOM and other troops in Somalia, why can't we concentrate on, sending their diplomats who are going to initiate peacebuilding programs and, negotiation to end the civil war?
Do you think diplomacy will work with this one? This is a terror group. Do you think diplomacy and negotiation will work?
Not necessarily. For the case of Al-Shabaab, we just need to know who are the major funders for this group, and what can we do if the warlords? What are the major, what are the major things that we can do? What is funding them? If, for instance, Al-Shabaab, it's charcoal burning, how can we end that, business, so that they can their energy can a little bit go down, and maybe they can give up at the end of the day. You know, you can't have a negotiation with a militia group. It can't work, because they're also being pushed by another force.
So you're saying
like
when they cut the
Al-Qaeda or
funding,
something.
we'll be cutting the head. Because I think for Al-Shabaab, for a terror group, they always work in conjunction. We find that the Al-Shabaab is being linked to Al-Qaeda. Now, as much as we say we want to cut the funding when it comes to charcoal, that we want to cut the funding when it comes to piracy, because they have different fundings. And also, Kenyan soldiers have been accused of selling charcoal there, and also with the Al-Shabaab. So it begs the question: how can this be approached?
So now that's when I'm looking in that angle of getting diplomats from different from the US, from Africa, and from AU, and all these regional IGAD and all that. So if we get solution to this problem, and then what is the immediate thing that we need to do, then that's when we can come up with a solution.
Okay.
But I don't agree of us pulling or not. It won't make any difference.
Okay. We've talked about funding. Just before I come to you, we saw that the European Union, they pulled out funds, especially the monthly allowances for the troops in 2016. They cut it from $1,022 to $822. So what ripple effect will this have?
I think that's one of the major thing they want to pull out.
Yeah.
That's all. I think the only thing is for them to pull out, because they're not now getting those benefits that they used to get. So I think them pulling out will be a better thing, because they're not getting what they want. But if they continue being funded a lot of money, then honestly they will still be there.
So it's all about funding.
It's not all about funding.
Okay. What do you make out of this?
Negotiating with the terrorists is the hardest thing you can ever do, because most of them are psychopaths. They are indoctrinated in such a way that they don't believe in anything else. So the only thing we can do is to up our game on intelligence. Let's take an example with this country, Israel. They have their borderlines all about threat and enemies, but you will never hear them walking in fear, because they have total intelligence and trust in their units. The same way we need to apply here.
So you as a security strategist, you talk about negotiating with terrorists. Is it a possibility that can be explored? Because we see when it comes to Boko Haram, there was a negotiation there for some Chibok girls to be released. When it comes to Taliban, there was a negotiation for something to be met. Is there a middle ground which can be met?
First, I can say the call for negotiation should come from the Shabab themselves after you hit them so hard. That's the only way out. But it should not be seen like you're pulling out because you have run out of fund or because you have freaked out. No. You should hit them hard. They say, gentlemen, let us now talk. That's the way forward.
Okay. Yes, when the world will never know peace, because they will never really actually want to pull out because of the negotiation. They will never want to have a negotiation.
Okay.
That's an honest system.
Okay, now just to shift gears to another topic about those report from the Business Daily, which say that the Pentagon actually read a report from the Pentagon report this year, which is a military report, which is saying that China considering to build a military base in Kenya. Do you think this is a good move for China? What are the ramifications for it?
I think the issue of China, is more of getting into Africa, is more of unicorn. That's where I can just put it.
But will you quit it because you already have military bases here? We have the US military base here, we have the UK military base here. Will you call also that a neocolonialism?
No, it's not a neocolonialism. The issues of US and them also sending troops is because they're trying to, also protect their own troops in Kenya. But, for the previous experiences, China has really been into Africa. And then the suggestion of Kenya, Seychelles, Djibouti, they've been there. And you remember, for instance, like let me say, is it Angola or something? They have a military base where they all have their own communication that even the government can't access. That is very wrong. If you want to have a military base, then allow communication even with the government and even with the citizens.
Yes, there's no
and even right now you realize you have different uniforms. They're coming out with this idea that when you give and take I don't know, I should call it a give and take, whatever, but they're coming up with, they're giving loans, but also they have their own interests. So them setting up a military base in Kenya, I don't agree with that.
But that applies to the principle of reciprocity in international relations, because we are coming to set base, we're coming also to take part in the infrastructure. We've been giving you loans, we've been giving you money. So don't you think?
If I can
Yeah.
interject, I can say the Chinese coming to Kenya and setting a base is not timely, and I don't think it is okay at the moment. First, the Chinese have extraordinary technology in surveillance, and as well, they have technologies that they can get to know your resources, underground resources, minerals and whatever. And then the Chinese have a bad habit, if I can say that, when it comes to wildlife. They will take everything that crawls and walks away.
Do you have evidence for that? Do you
Yeah,
have evidence for that?
Chinese is the hugest market for elephant horns and skins. That is known. When that was stopped by the Kenyan, the bilateral talks between China and Kenya, that's when the poaching went down. Yeah. The other thing is that we can say them coming, they will help us to do surveillance and fight Al-Shabaab. That's the only thing I can say. Yeah, we can welcome them for that, but we need to check the pros and cons, and I think the disadvantage is huge. Yeah, and then we in Kenya we don't share good relation in terms of law. Yes, the US in Kenya we use the British laws, the Americans we share a lot, but with the Chinese we have nothing we share in terms of law. So we will have now to make new laws to guide the Chinese and the Kenyans working here.
Not necessarily, because they set base in Djibouti in 2017, and you find that they've been there, though they've had issues in terms with the US military also there.
I think maybe that's the thing. Why is it that they're only targeting countries where the US base is?
So as we wrap up, I'll start with you, Budoi. So the US taking permission for drone strikes, according to the New York Times. We saw an article on the 15th of September, the US seeking permission on drone strikes. And I think this can be informed by the fact that 5th January, the Manda Bay was hit. Do you think this is a good idea? What do you think about this?
I think it's a good idea, and again also bad idea. It's a good idea to them because they're trying to monitor and just making sure that their military or rather their troops they're okay, in Kenya. But also again, it's bad for the community living around those targeted areas, in such a way that also for Al-Shabaab or the other group, the militia group, they're also going to change their tactics, and move closer to community where they know if this guy monitors with these drones or something, if they try to strike, then actually they're going to be hurting the civilians. So actually, I don't support the move unless they think of something new.
Okay, and now just to you, Mwangi, you are the security strategist. You think is the best strategy to pursue?
Airstrikes, also the use of drone. First, you're not able to separate the collateral damage. If a terrorist is inside this building and you want to drop a missile, you mean that anyone who is there is going to be a collateral damage. First, the US, they seek permission, yes, to get here. If we approve it, we don't have means to limit what they think is right for them and what is right for us. So they can take that as an opportunity to target the people inside Kenya who are against the foreign policies. They are going against the wills that they want to do in Kenya. And I oppose that because in Kenya, we are the best in terms of combat, land combat.
Will this affect the Kenya's foreign policy in the US?
I don't think it has to affect the foreign policy because it is our land. We have to accept that, and their permission is upon the Kenyans' discretion. So it's not a matter that we are forcing it down our throat. We have to consider the implication of the drones first. Yeah. So whether it's going to affect the relation, I don't think it's going. We have a lot of things we can do together apart from the use of drones. So they can help us with maybe artillery, land. We can fight the Al-Shabaab because most of them they use small weapons, RPG. So you don't need drones for that. You need man-to-man combat.
You can't really call an RPG a small weapon because it's something that has a very huge blast. But what
It is classified as a small weapon.
What will you say and what are your conclusive about terrorism and also in Kenya, the state of security?
In my conclusion, I can say first we need to improve our intelligence system because the national intelligence that we have is based more on political sides and what the political group on the other side is saying, but it's not also working hard for sustaining or improving the Kenyan security. The other thing is that the compromise. Why is our system getting compromised? We need to recheck on the payment of our police, the payment and the allowances so that we don't get compromised. And that's where we will have to hit them hard because the moment the Al-Shabaab are paying better than the Kenyan government and everyone needs money. So if you pay a policeman to get maybe a bond inside a car and then it's 5 million, so that one will make them compromise. But as well, improve on the integrity of our people. Show them that this is our country, that even if you compromise, the bomb can be set where your family is going to be. In a shopping mall, they never choose who will die or who survives. When it explodes, it is everyone who is there who dies.
Okay. Mr. Budoi, what are your conclusive thoughts on matters of security?
I think basically we need to revive the international humanitarian law, just as Mwangi has said, the use of personnel miles. So we also need the major thing is to focus on how can we create peace rather than how can we get more, military items, like rather the drones and all that, airstrikes and all that. We need to focus more on the diplomatic part of it. How can we involve our stakeholders, NGOs, regional organizations to actually set up, peace negotiation, whatever discussions in this country, so that we can have a peaceful, borders and peaceful living together with other countries in a peaceful way. And also we need to conduct more trainings on countering violence extremism, especially the areas of Mandera and the Somali border, the Uganda. Recently we are celebrating together with the United Nations the Karamojong, the cross-border initiative that we launched with Uganda and Ethiopia sometimes back in 2018. So these are some of the things that we need to be, igniting rather than talking of war and deploying again troops again. So I think that's the major focus that we need to do, and also creating businesses and job opportunities for youth so that they're not available for misuse by this so-called egocentric politician.
Okay. That's what we'll wrap up with from our guests. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you so much.
And keep it the Discourse KE. I'm here at Ukombozi Library. Thank you.